I'm Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base hit. Justice has scored the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Malanoski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is. Big World Series.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back and throw. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them with my faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings long drive left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lotus fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie.
There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right.
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we haven't heard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. It's hit back. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland. Get them in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. It is another beautiful day here in the upstate of South Carolina. I'm Dan Scott. That is Forrest Stulting, and welcome to the not so cleverly titled Dan Scott Show. Today we'll be spending some time talking with the play-by-play voice of Furman's opponent tomorrow, the Colgate Raiders. We'll talk to Eric Malanoski, their radio play-by-play voice. We'll also have Scott Keeler coming to join us in studio in the final segment to talk some high school football here in the area, as that season, unbelievably, is kind of reaching its midway point now.
It is, yeah. It's flashing by quickest than we thought. Teams are about to head into a region play, and so whenever region play hits, the playoffs are right around the corner.
So Scott's got a watchful eye on everything that's going on that's important, and a few things that aren't important, I'm sure. and he'll have it all for us when he comes in here at 10:45 this morning. That'll leave us the first segment to talk some Furman stuff here on campus and to get quickly through Forrest's three things. But obviously, our main focus is Furman and Colgate tomorrow. As soon as the show is over, we are heading to the bottom part of this building where the buses are and loading up, heading to the airport. And if all goes according to plan, good Lord willing, we'll be in Syracuse by about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and staying there, busing into Hamilton tomorrow for the 1 o'clock matchup.
About an hour away from Syracuse to Hamilton.
So we're going from upstate South Carolina to upstate New York.
Oh, yes.
And hopefully coming back with the first win of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what Eric Malanoski has to say.
I'm excited to listen to it,
about the Raiders. They're 1-2. And like Furman, they've lost to an FBS opponent. They have obviously beaten one of their two FCS opponents. Schools are very similar as far as academic makeup and focus. So this could end up being a very entertaining matchup, and it's a first of a home-and-home series. They'll be here next year.
Looking forward to seeing what they got, and they played some pretty stiff competition as well in Cal Poly, travel out to California, and hosting number 9 Richmond. So they've had a pretty daunting opening schedule, almost like us, Dan.
Yeah, so again, 10:25, Eric Malanoski, the play-by-play voice of the Raiders, will be joining us here to tell us a little bit about Colgate and help us continue to preview the matchup tomorrow. Of course, we've got a big weekend, as seemingly they all are these days, in the realm of college football. And I know that's going to be inside of Forrest's three things.
Absolutely. We're a third of the way through the season, Dan. It's here, then it's there, then it's gone. So,
what do we have as far as campus?
Yes, we have some pretty big tournaments going here on Furman's campus this weekend. And women's golf is hosting the Lady Powd Invitational Friday to Sunday. It's going on right now as we speak, Dan. So go out to the links and listen to us jabber while you watch some good golf, or you can go over to the Mickle Tennis Center and watch the women's tennis team host the Debbie Sutherland Fall Classic this weekend. Women's soccer battles VMI tonight at 7 o'clock at Eugene Stone's Soccer Stadium. Then they'll host UNC Greensboro Sunday at 2 o'clock, and that will be at home as well on campus. The men's tennis team will compete at the Elon Invitational in North Carolina Friday to Sunday. So they'll be going on the road with the football team. And the soccer team, the men's soccer team, will compete against Gardner-Webb Saturday night at 7 o'clock for the Gray Griffin game. So a full slate of games going on for the Powdens this weekend. So be sure to go out and support your Powdens wherever you can.
The Gray Griffin game, if you weren't with us yesterday when Doug Allison was here, the men's soccer coach, and you're not familiar with that, he had a player a number of years ago named Greg Griffin who was here as a freshman and was killed in a car accident after his freshman campaign was done. School was still in session. He'd gone home to a concert and was coming back and apparently fell asleep at the wheel. So his dad comes back to campus every year, addresses the team prior to the game every year. It's obviously a very emotional evening, a very emotional weekend, and that is this weekend here on campus, the Gray Griffin game for the men's soccer program.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you can go out, and I know The Powd and Faithful will be in full support for that game on Saturday night at Stone Soccer Stadium at 7 o'clock.
And as I said, it works out perfectly. You can listen to the radio broadcast. The Colgate folks, the Patriot League, will be streaming the game live video-wise. And there was some confusion from what I understand. If you go to the Patriot League site, apparently it says that maybe it's a subscription type thing. But from what we're told, regardless of what it says, it isn't. It's a free stream. And you can watch the game, and as always, turn the sound down on the television or on the stream, listen to the radio call. And just a reminder, starting because of just the way things worked out last week, from now moving forward the remainder of the year, we're going to back the start of push the start ahead of the tailgate show an extra 15 minutes.
Okay.
So instead of a noon airtime tomorrow, we're going to start at 11:45 with the kickoff at 1 o'clock, 1:04, something like that.
This will be a lot of fun. Please tune in and listen to what Dan and David and Marcus and the esteemed Hunter Reed have to say pregame before kickoff at Colgate this weekend.
Yes, we have plenty of smoke and more than a couple of mirrors to try to get us through. All right, while we have an opportunity, let's get into your three things.
Trivia question, then we'll do
I'll tell you
that.
what, let's do trivia, then let's take a break.
Sure.
We'll come back and do your three things quickly and then take a break again before we get Eric on the phone.
All right, topics Furman football. What is the longest rushing play in Powd history, and who was the rusher?
Longest rushing play in Powd history.
Powd history. Who you got?
Okay. You can leave your answer in any of the comment sections that we have. And, again, at the end of the day, if you get it right, you get your choice of an attaboy or a pat on the back. We will take a break and come back, get into Forrest's three things, and do that ahead of talking with Eric Malanoski, the play-by-play voice of the Colgate Raiders. Show, as always, though, brought to you by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company, located in Cherrydale Plaza right here, just a few miles, about 3 miles actually from campus. I eat there 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, usually breakfast. They have a great menu variety, and again, as the weather starts to turn a little cooler, today being the official first day of fall.
It is.
And we think it's going to start turning cooler.
A little bitter. I love summer, but fall's all right, too. So I guess it brings October, so we're okay with that for baseball.
Just remember, as it starts to cool down, they've got hot soup, they've got hot chili, they've got warm paninis, they've got all of those things that seem to be even that much better on a cold day. That is Atlanta Bread Company. Stop by and see them. Tell them thank you for sponsoring this program, and tell them that you heard about them right here on the show. All right, we'll go to break. We'll come back, and we will hear from Forrest, his three things, after more from the Atlanta Bread Company right after this. The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimiented cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. We are back. It is the second segment of the show at 12 minutes past the hour here on this Friday edition of the program. Dan Scott and Forrest Stulting. Before we get to Forrest, three things very quickly. Just a reminder about Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse downtown. And look, the steaks speak for themselves. The food is top quality. The people are even better, and they have a venue that is large enough and has enough different rooms that if you have a Christmas party, if you're thinking that far ahead, or you've got a corporate event or just a private gathering of some kind, you're looking for a venue to go along with great food, I would highly suggest Hall's Chop House. A lot more about them coming, and maybe even tinkering with some live shows there before it's all said and done. Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse in downtown Greenville. All right, we've got to do this relatively quickly, so let's get to your three things.
Let's do it. Nebraska fires its athletic director, Sean Eichhorst. University Chancellor Ronnie Green said they were not satisfied by the results in the past few years. Eichhorst was hired in October of 2012. He was groomed by Barry Alvarez, a longtime football coach and AD at Wisconsin. Their basketball program has been notoriously bad for a number of years now. And under the football coach Mike Riley, who Eichhorst did hire, they've gone 6-7, 9-4, and 1-2 this past year. So they have seen some improvement over the past few years. But that big loss to Northern Illinois last weekend was pretty substantial. I'm not sure how much that played into this firing, but I do think that there's more to this than what has been said in the papers and all the articles throughout the internet.
Yeah, I mean, in his third year to go from 6-7 in year one to 9-4 a year ago, obviously shows some improvement. I don't know what the roster looks like. Sure. I don't know. I don't keep up with Nebraska football, but
come on, Dan.
Just looking at those at those numbers, 6-7 and 9-4, Nebraska doesn't lose to Northern Illinois.
I agree with that
they're just
completely.
not supposed to lose to a school like that. But that loss, to me, would be, if you're going to fire somebody over that loss, you'd fire the football coach. You wouldn't fire the athletic director. So I tend to agree with you that there's more below the surface here, or it's just an overwhelming lack of success in the entire athletic department, football aside.
Yeah.
Now, look, they have not been, quote unquote, Nebraska for a long time now.
The early 90s?
Yeah, for a long time now. And that's got to stick into the craw of a lot of people. But, again, if Riley's in his third year and he went from 6-7 to 9-4, there was obvious major improvement between year one and year two. So here in year three, they've had a stumble. But again,
it's tough.
You would fire the football coach, I would think, if it was just about the football program.
No, I completely agree. I mean, their baseball program is by far the most notable sport that they've had success in the past few years. Darren Erstad, former Major League player with the Angels, he's done a great job with the Huskers. But outside of that, Dan, I'm not really aware of any other athletic sport they're really having too much success down in Nebraska for the Cornhuskers.
Speaking of baseball, can I say hello to somebody?
Please.
Oh, I can. It's my show. I can do what I want to. Stephen Klein, I just saw where he popped in. I have not seen or heard from Mr. Klein in a long time. A former pitcher at Clemson, had one of the best hooks.
Oh boy!
From the mound,
really?
that I can recall at the collegiate level. It's good to see him.
Klein, nice to know your name for the first time in my life.
Yeah. And our former IMG general manager Harry Day.
Hey Harry,
has popped in too.
I'm Forrest Stulting. Nice to meet you.
All right, what else you got going on?
All right, some 3 college football possible upsets.
This is thing 2.
Thing 2, excuse me. Yeah, thing 2.
Yeah, we didn't play your theme today.
I thought, I don't know. I almost escaped it.
Yeah,
Not
we're
quite.
we're toying with this as being Forrest's theme for his 3 things. Anyway.
Oh man.
Or I'm toying with it.
Yeah,
He's hoping it'll go away quickly.
I thought it did. I thought it was a one and done, but not quite. Maybe the weekend up to New York will kind of fade it out of your memory for a few days. But thing 2, 3 college football upsets or upset watch this week. Number 24 travels to Kentucky.
Number 24 who?
Florida. I thought I said. Did I not say Florida? I thought I said Florida.
Oh, you said number 20, Florida. I thought you said number 24.
Oh,
travels
excuse me. 24,
to Kentucky.
Florida.
Slow down.
Florida. Yes.
E-nunts, E8.
There you go. The Wildcats. I think the Wildcats will stymie the Gators' offense, and UK wins it in a late. Wins it late against a worn-down Gator defense, and they'll end the 30-year losing streak.
I was going to say, you know that Florida's won 30 years in a row.
Yeah. I think it's going to end this week, Dan. I think coming off that win against USC, this will get the fans down in Kentucky going wild, and they finally break through against the Gators.
You know, personally, I'd love to see it happen. I really would.
Yeah.
Because I've told you my wife is a Kentucky fan, and I'm something of a Kentucky fan. I don't really root for Kentucky basketball anymore. Because I'm not a John Calipari fan.
I'm right there with you on that.
But it's as far as just the area of the country that I'm from, Kentucky kind of loomed large in our legend along with West Virginia University. But this 30 years of not beating Florida is an astounding streak.
It really is. Yeah.
And the correlation that I can come up with is Clemson basketball has never won in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I love that stat personally.
Ever.
Yeah.
As in since the beginning of time, Clemson basketball has never won in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
So Kentucky has beaten Florida, but they haven't done it in
Not
30
since
years.
Ronald Reagan's presidency. So
they haven't done it in 30 years.
I think that streak ends this week.
Well, it's a home game.
Yes, it is.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But David Perkins says UK has sold out this game. They all go home dejected. He said Florida extends the streak to 31 years.
See, I just don't think
David, there's not a dislike button on Facebook. If there was, I'd hit it.
Yeah, I just think that Florida's quarterback situation will hinder them too much on this road game against a tough SEC defense, Dan.
A tough SEC defense.
I'm gonna
SEC speed will be on display in Lexington, Kentucky. All right, so you're taking Kentucky over Florida.
Yeah.
I will take Kentucky over Florida.
Awesome.
Okay.
Game 2 to watch.
And by the way, these are upset alerts.
Upset alerts, yeah.
Yep.
Number 7 Washington travels to Colorado to face the Buffaloes, and it's a rematch of last year's Pac-12 championship game in which Washington routed the Buffalo. I think the key is going to be here, a kind of unusual key, is Buffalo's punter Alex Kinney against Dante Pettis, who's returned 3 punts in 3 straight games for the Huskies. So I think if they can shut down that return game, I think the Buffalo's defensive line will upset Brown. Is it Browning, the quarterback? I'm forgetting his name. Jake Browning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I think he'll be harassed by them, and CU wins, and will start 4-0 for the first time since 1998.
So you're picking Colorado.
I am picking Colorado.
Not
going
to happen.
You don't think so?
No.
Man.
Not going to happen. Washington will win this game.
Okay.
It won't be the kind of route we saw in the
Pac-12
championship game
yeah.
last year, but 10, 12 points maybe, something like that.
Sure.
Comfortable win for Washington.
All right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
What's your next one?
Game 3. The NC State Wolfpack traveled to Tallahassee to take on the number 12 ranked Florida State Seminoles. I think true freshman James Blackman will be mobbed by NC State's defensive front, and the Seminoles D is too rusty to stop the multiple options for Ryan Finley, because they obviously haven't played since week 1 due to Hurricane Irma.
I don't know if they're rusty. I think it might be the other way around. I think they might be like caged animals getting ready to be
but
turned
sometimes
loose.
those caged animals are too wild, and they can't wrangle them in.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we obviously saw North Carolina State up close and personal last week in Raleigh in Furman's 49-16 loss. and they have a tremendous defensive front seven. There's no question about it. Florida State has won 10 of the last 12 in this matchup. The last time that NC State won the game was in Raleigh. And the X factor is going to be Blackman.
Completely agree with that.
And what are they going to get out of this kid in his first start? DeAndre Francois is done. What are they going to get in his first collegiate start? Obviously, I would imagine Jimbo Fisher's hoping they can run the football
They're gonna have
and protect him a little bit. But just remember this. Just remember this. If they can protect this kid against that talented front seven, North Carolina State's secondary is not real good.
I completely agree
they're
with that.
really good in the front seven. They're not really good in the back four. And if they can protect Blackman, then I believe Florida State is going to win this football game.
I completely agree. If the defensive front cannot disrupt Blackman and get him out of the pocket and make him take some pretty tough throws, I think Florida State will easily win this ball game. But I think if the NC State defensive line especially can get to Blackman without having to rush 5, 6, 7 guys to get to him, I think this will be an easy win for the Wolfpack.
And here's the other thing you have to consider. We saw that North Carolina State offense and watched Ryan Finley just pick Furman apart. Why? Furman got zero pressure on the quarterback. Florida State will get pressure on
right
Finley.
About that.
So how is he going to perform with big bodies flying at him for 60 minutes? I think defensively, Florida State will make a bigger impact in this game than they will offensively. So we'll see what happens.
So kind of a low-scoring game you're predicting, Dan?
I could see 23-14, 23-17.
Okay.
Something like that. Here's a prediction for you.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Defense, Florida State's defense will score a touchdown.
Oh, I like that. And that will be the difference in the game, you think, or one of the big differences in the game. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, moving on to thing 3, getting into some baseball real quick. The Indians have won 27 of 28, and that is the most in a 28-game stretch since the Providence Grays won 28 of 29 way back in 1884. And Dan,
Rudy Jones was a Cub reporter for the first Greenville paper way back in 1884.
The Piedmont,
wasn't he?
there you go. But my question to you, Dan, is this streak more impressive than the Dodgers' streak of 42-9?
I think so, because they've only lost one game. I mean, people have no idea if you're not a real baseball fan and student of the game, you have no idea how impossible it is to do what the Indians have done.
Completely agree. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
You just don't go 28 games without losing more than one game, because the level of talent from top to bottom on each team is higher than any other sport.
And even if you're supremely talented, your pitcher's going to have a bad day. Your bullpen's going to tank a game. I mean, there's just so many variables that can happen. It is virtually impossible to do what the Indians have done, and yet they've done it.
Yeah, somehow, some way,
and are continuing to do it.
With, might I add, the likes of Michael Brantley injured. Andrew Miller missed a good bit of time, so they're doing it with some big pieces on the mend. Yep. Red Sox clinch a playoff berth. They're 3 up on the Yankees in the East. And the Brewers lost a heartbreaker to the Cubs. Chicago is up 4.5 games in the Central with 9 left to play. So if the Brewers do not win at least 2, probably more likely 3, the Cubs will win the Central
I think they
by
need
a
to
landslide.
sweep. I think they need to sweep.
Can agree with that.
All right, let's go to break. We'll come back, and when we return, we will have Eric Malanoski, the play-by-play voice of Colgate, up with us next. This is the Dan Scott Show, and we will return in just a moment.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO cell phone repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR cell phone repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
All right, 10:28, running just a few minutes behind, but that's okay. We can always run a few minutes over if we have to.
You got that right.
Dan Scott Show here on a Friday as we continue to preview the upcoming matchup, Furman and Colgate, tomorrow in Hamilton, New York, a 1 p.m. start. And to help tell us a little bit more about this Raider program, we want to welcome to the show the play-by-play voice of Colgate football, Eric Malanoski. Eric, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Thanks, Dan. I'm doing well. Hopefully everybody's doing well there, and it's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Weather-wise, what are we expecting in upstate New York tomorrow?
Well, I'm not a weather guy, and I figured that question may be asked, so I asked our sports information director, John Painter, who loves to keep up on the weather, what it would be like tomorrow. And he said very Furman-like, 77 at kickoff with a high of 80. But it has been hot all week, Dan, so Colgate has been practicing in this kind of weather. So it's going to be a little on the muggy side tomorrow afternoon in Hamilton.
We were just wondering, do we bring a jacket? I've been in upstate New York in May and in this time of year, and you live there. The weather can be a little cooler than it is in a lot of places. Tell us about this Colgate team. Just give us a little bit of an overview. You're 1-2, like Furman. You've lost to an FBS opponent. You've got a win over a then top 25 team in Cal Poly. What's the vibe around this program right now?
Well, first of all, Dan, very brutal schedule, maybe the toughest schedule Colgate has had, definitely in recent memory. They usually have a couple of Ivy League schools, not that Ivy League schools are gimmies, but the fact that this year they start off with a couple of ranked FCS teams, top 10 team in Richmond, and then they had to go all the way to California to play Cal Poly in week 0, and then in week 3 playing an FBS team like Buffalo. So the fact that they are 1-2 right now and that they were competitive with Richmond and could have very well won that game, they were very undermanned against Buffalo. I think 4 defensive starters were out of the game. So you're always going into a game trying to win, but realistically, they knew Buffalo would be an uphill battle, so only losing 33-10, considering some FBS, FCS scores, that wasn't too bad. So right now, the big question is, after Jake Melville graduated last year as quarterback, one of the best to ever put on a Colgate uniform, trying to fill that position. They started the year with Carmine Scarfone. They really like the freshman Grant Brenneman, but it's a lot on a freshman's plate. The read option, being able to pick up the passing program. The Colgate doesn't throw that much, but when they do, it's a complicated system. So to kind of put that on the freshman's shoulders, they wanted to see some live action, I think. It was planned to put him in the third series in the Colgate-Richmond game, and he looked good enough where they kept him in there, Dan, and it's been Grant Brenneman's show ever since. Obviously, the numbers aren't where Coach Dan Hunt and offensive coordinator Chris Young wants them, but as every game passes, they're hoping the numbers improve for the freshman quarterback. Defense has been very solid. Even though they have a lot of newcomers to the starting lineup, those starters played a lot in past years. T.J. Hall, Ben Hunt, so they perform very well, and Coach Hunt very pleased with the defense. He thought they didn't perform at a high level against Buffalo, but the first 2 games they were very good.
Yeah, last week you had 4 defensive starters miss last week's game, and 11 Raiders made their first career starts. Will we see any of those players back this week?
Well, as any good coach does, Dan, he keeps it close to his sleeve. So Coach Hunt didn't tell me much during Thursday night's Colgate Coaches Show. A lot of game time decisions. He thinks there's a good bet that Ben Hunt will be back in the lineup and could very well see Tyler Castillo. Not sure about the other players as of yet. But, next man up, and they did that last week. So whoever's in the lineup, Coach Dan Hunt is optimistic that they'll be ready to go.
Hey, Eric, Forrest Stolting here. Against Cal Poly and Richmond, the defense gave up a lot of points in the fourth quarter. Give me your thoughts on that.
Say that question one more time.
Against Cal Poly and Richmond, the defense gave up a good amount of points in the fourth quarter. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was a case where Cal Poly and Richmond are very talented teams, and the fact that the offense became very stagnant in the third and fourth quarter of both of those games. So the defense was on the field a lot, and the fact is that they played a great game throughout. They were just on the field, and Cal Poly and Richmond, with all the talent they have, they're going to score sooner or later. So the fact that they only gave up 14 points to Cal Poly and only 20 points to Richmond, still a great effort. But if you're going to be on the field time after time, which the offense 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, that put the defense with their backs against the wall. So I think that stat's a little misleading, where the offense just could not get anything going in the second half of those games. In the Cal Poly game, they had a big enough cushion. They had 20 points, so the offense could afford to do that, and the defense made a play at the end with Abu Darami Soiree, so they were able to hold on. Against Richmond, they didn't have a big enough cushion, so it came back to bite them, and that's why they lost 20-17.
Visiting with Eric Malanoski, the play-by-play voice of Colgate football. Game tomorrow in Hamilton, New York at 1 p.m. as these two teams renew a series that hasn't been played since the 2010 season. Furman has won the only 2 games played between these clubs, and Colgate will return the trip here next year. Your leading rusher, James Holland, is not listed on the 2 deep we received in the notes package. Is he injured? What's going on there?
Yeah, he's nursing an injury. Unlikely that he will play. James Holland Jr. coming into his own. He had some injury issues last year as well, so it's unfortunate that James Holland Jr., I'm not sure exactly what the injury is, but it looks like he will be out against Furman. The good news for Colgate is that they have a 3-headed monster, and Alex Matthews, who struggled a little bit at the start of his freshman year to pick up all the nuances of the Colgate offense, but he came on late last year and is picking up where he left off with that 57-yard touchdown run against Cal Poly. And Malik Twyman, he does not look like a freshman. He has rushed very well. You hate to lose a talent like James Holland Jr., but for Colgate, fortunately enough, this is a very deep position. So as long as Alex Matthews and Malik Twyman stay healthy, Colgate still feels good about the talent at their tailback spot.
Eric, the coaches here have talked about the similarity between the schools, not just the football programs, but between the actual universities. Tell us a little bit about Colgate and the similarities perhaps that are there between your school and between Furman University.
Yeah, Colgate, a very small school, and I remember I was around for the last couple of Furman games, and I remember that I forget who I was talking to back in 2008 or whenever it was, but they were saying that once upon a time Furman was even looking to go in the Patriot League because they fit that mold. Obviously, from a geographic standpoint, it would be a tough fit. But, yeah, I've heard the comparison all along. Great academic tradition at both Furman and Colgate, great football tradition, and they take their football very seriously. So even though Colgate, is a small school in Hamilton, New York. The enrollment is very on the smaller side, that under 3,000, but still, football is where it's at for Colgate. Obviously, men's hockey as well. But and Vicki Chun, the athletic director, Anne Marie Guglieri, the staff here, the administrative staff here at Colgate, they've done an excellent job with the facilities. It's an absolute treat for the coaches and student athletes here at Colgate to put on the maroon and white.
Yeah, both schools are below 3,000 as far as enrollment goes and the high academic standards. So there are a considerable amount of similarities between the two. So it's going to be interesting to see how or if that even carries over to the football field this time around, because I know the last time that Furman and Colgate played, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric, but Colgate was not giving scholarships at that point, and now that's changed, and with that obviously comes a change in talent level, as your quarterfinal appearance in the playoffs a couple of years ago would attest.
Yeah, it was hard to compete with Furman back in the day. You look at the 42-21 score and then the 45-15 score, and as I was talking to Coach Dan Hunt last night on the Colgate Coaches Show, that before scholarships, and Coach Hunt thought it was more than just a coincidence too, playing an upper echelon FCS team or an FBS team back in the day before scholarships, speed was a decided factor. You saw a player from an upper echelon FCS school or an FBS program get to the edge, it was pretty much over for the most part. If you look at Colgate this year, playing the competition that they have, the longest touchdown hasn't been that long. Yeah, they gave up a 58-yard pass to the tight end last week, but it wasn't a touchdown. So in terms of giving up the huge plays for a touchdown, which I wouldn't call it a staple, but it certainly happened frequently before scholarships because Colgate had a hard time competing with the speed. Now that they can offer scholarships, the talent level is just that much higher. And even though, they lost a couple of games to Buffalo and Richmond, they were in the hunt. I mean, they look like a team that belonged. And in past years before scholarships, I don't know if you could make that same statement.
Yeah, kind of going off that talent right there, you have T.J. Hull, who's a linebacker. He leads the FCS in tackling with 43. And Pat, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Afariye. He's
Afriye. It took me all 4 years to get that one right. Pat Afriye.
Afriye, he's 4.5 sacks away from the all-time sack leader at Colgate. So what can you say about those two players on the defensive side of the ball?
Unfortunately, Pat has had some injury issues at the start of this season, but it looks like he should be coming back soon, and we should have him ready for Patriot League play, which is a great thing. He's just an amazing talent. He stands out in practice at the games, just a very smart, physical player that's always competing. Unfortunately, when he got injured in the Cal Poly game, he didn't know how serious the injury was, so he stayed on for an extra play. And if you watch that play, his heart, he was down on the ground in pain, and he was still crawling after the quarterback. Wow. That's how much of a competitor Pat Afriye is. And then T.J. Hall, there was an outstanding linebacking core led by Kyle Diener last year for Colgate. So the only reason T.J. Hall wasn't a firmly entrenched starter the last couple of years was because of the amazing talent in front of him. That he brings instant energy, a son of a high school football coach, so he's very smart. He has a high football IQ, and he has nonstop energy. He loves the sport of football. You guys will see that tomorrow, or every single play he makes. He does in a professional way, but he's hyped up. He's ready to go. He just loves the sport of football, and he flies around. He will be around that football all day long.
Eric, what have your coaches said as far as scouting Furman, putting together the game plan, and not having a wealth of film to draw from, obviously because of the change in the coaching staff here? What's been the talk about the matchup looking at Furman from a Colgate standpoint?
Well, they know Furman is very good. They know first and foremost, and they have been preaching this to the players, 0-3 doesn't mean anything. And the first thing Coach Hunt said to me was, look at our schedules. They're very, very similar. Furman playing a top 10 FCS team. They're playing a team in Elon, which I think is ranked now. And, of course, the FCS team in NC State last week, or the FBS team, an ACC school in the Wolfpack. A very brutal schedule, and the fact you guys could have won. Furman could have won their first 2 games. So they know Furman is a very good squad, and they are very nervous about the Paladins. I don't know if they broke out any old Air Force tape to see what Coach Hendricks' tendencies may be. Colgate, ironically, played Air Force a couple years back. I asked Coach Hendricks that when I talked to him earlier in the week, and he remembers a little bit from that game. But, yeah, so I don't know if they broke out any Air Force tape. Coach Hunt did comment on the Furman offense, saying, kind of a triple option style, but they throw out of that. They do a lot of things that will be a very stiff challenge for Colgate. And whenever there's an option-type offense, discipline is key, staying in your defensive lanes and stuff like that. So Coach Hunt knows that Colgate will have their hands full and more tomorrow against Furman.
Speaking of Coach Hunt, he's been with Colgate for 22 years now. He spent 19 years as an assistant and 3 as a head coach. Can you talk about how he's kind of changed the program around, or if at all it's changed since he became head coach?
Yeah, Coach Biddle was such a great head coach, and I know Dan Hunt learned so much from him, but it seems like Coach Hunt's been here forever as an assistant, and he was a major player on the Coach Biddle coaching staff. And since he's been head coach, it seems like he's been coach longer than that. So I have to go back to his first year here, and the thing that I remember the most is he was very attention to detail on special teams. We never had a special teams coordinator. Coach Knowles, who has other functions as well, was also named special teams coordinator. Coach Knowles, D-line coach, but he was also given the special teams moniker when Coach Hunt was hired. And you see a decided difference. Colgate struggled in special teams with short kickoffs and stuff like that. Chris Puzzy is already off to a fantastic start as far as touchbacks are concerned. Did miss 1 field goal last week, but as Coach Hunt said, you're not going to make them all. Puzzy, though, he has a leg. He booms that ball through the uprights. Special teams, a major emphasis point for Coach Hunt, and you see the difference from years back when special teams did struggle for Colgate. And then there's a lot of similarities. You see the read option, the defensive toughness, the running the ball. One thing that has kind of changed under Coach Hunt is he has gone because he recognizes how much talent he has in the backfield. That's been a little more running back by committee, and maybe in the old days when the Jordan Scotts and Jamal Branches were getting 35 carries a game, it's more split up between the talented backs. Although he did say that before the injury to James Holland Jr., that James Holland Jr. was going to stay in the game against Buffalo, and they were going to try to get him going. I don't know if that means he was going to get carries for the rest of the game or not. So I don't know if Coach Hunt had that plan where he did want to pick one of the backs as the main guy, or I would assume that we're still, even when James Holland Jr. comes back from the injury, that we will still see a heady dose of all 3 running backs. But Coach Hunt, great guy, does so much in the community, and it's been a pleasure to have him as head coach and to work with him. And obviously the familiarity of the Colgate program and the traditions here has certainly helped the transition from Coach Biddle to Coach Hunt.
Well, listen, Eric, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show as well. We appreciate your time and helping our fans here get a little bit more of the flavor of what we're going to run into when we get there tomorrow. Look forward to meeting you face-to-face when we get to the press box, and let's see how this one plays out. Should be fun.
Sounds great. Speaking of salivating, I'm already thinking about the media room food next year when I go to the Furman game. There's nothing quite like Southern cooking, but I know John Painter does a great job with the media room food here in Hamilton as well. So you guys should enjoy. Looking forward to seeing you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, just remember these words: Henry's Barbecue. That's what you got to look forward to.
It's famous.
I'm going to write them down. I'm going to put them in my calendar for next year's game.
All right, man. Take it easy, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks. Bye.
That was Eric Malinowski, the play-by-play voice of Colgate. All right, before we go to break, and we've got so much to do and so little time to do it, a reminder about our friends at CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale. You see the number on your screen, 282-9097. Very quickly, folks, if you've got a phone with a cracked screen, go see Janet Culver and her staff there. She's a new owner. They do fantastic work. They got my iPhone done in about 30 minutes. They can do most anything you've got and do it same day most of the time. They have accessories, new accessories for phones and tablets. They even sell refurbished phones and tablets. CPR Cell Phone Repair in Cherrydale, 282-9097. All right, when we come back, Scott Keeler to close it out. We will talk some high school football on the other side when we return right after this. Don't go away.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT unpimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget their gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today, and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. .10:48 and down the stretch we come. Final segment of the show, final segment of the week. Our thanks to Eric Malanoski, the play-by-play voice of Colgate football, for joining us on the program. Hey, very quickly, cannot forget to tell you about the Walk a Mile project. There you see the website, thewhamproject.org. This is a group that is not only doing its part in international mission work, especially in the country of Guatemala, building houses, clean water, food, all of those kind of things. But they also train other people and churches to do mission work. A lot more about them coming in the next few weeks, but visit the website right now to find, well, not right now, wait till the show's over, then visit the website. Walk a Mile Project, the WAMproject.org is the website. All right, he is Scott Keeler. He joins us here for the final 10 minutes or so of our get-together today to talk high school football and maybe some other things. How are you doing, sir?
Good. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Loud
have you heard?
Loud and clear.
Have you heard what we're trumpeting as perhaps Forrest's new theme?
Yes, and I have a suggestion as well. I like it.
You like it?
Now, I guess Bugs Bunny yesterday. That's a definite Bugs Bunny inflection.
Yeah, that's Mel Blanc.
I know, but I'm saying I think it's more Bugs Bunny than any of those characters.
Yeah, but if you see the cartoon, it's not.
Okay, all right.
So, anyway.
But I was thinking maybe Three Stooges for three things.
Oh. I am a stooge.
Yeah, I've got that. I got a lot of possibilities, as Forrest found out a little earlier.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Here, but anyway,
that will be. Yeah.
What are the storylines that we are following right now, Scott Keeler, in the world of high school football?
The Teal Handle Yellow Jackets are upstate team of the year at the halfway point, I'd say.
Surprising?
I think so. Just they won a coaching change this year, and now that I'm on the air, I can't remember his name, obviously, but
that's how that goes.
But they're 5-0. They've played a killer schedule, and actually they go to Greenwood, who's 3-0 tonight, and that will be, if they can get past Greenwood with some of the injuries that Westside suffered, Hannah could be looking at going unbeaten. There's still a lot of football left to be played, but that's going to be a test tonight because Greenwood's also undefeated. They're only 3-0, whereas Hannah's 5-0. Greenwood had a game with Goose Creek get canceled out by the weather. So that's why Greenwood's only 3-0. But
Westside and Hannah still playing twice a year?
yes. Oh, no. No, they play at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there for a while they were playing a non-conference game at the beginning and then playing the conference game at the end of the year.
Right.
So I just not keeping up with high school football anymore. I thought I'd ask.
What about the Greer Yellow Jackets? They've been pretty hot too.
They have. They're I believe they're off this week if I recall correctly. So, but yeah, they've bounced back. They have one loss to Burns, who's undefeated, and yeah, Greer had a nice win last week. Honestly, I can't remember much about last week because I went straight from covering Gaffney on my way to Raleigh that night after leaving Gaffney. So. But yeah, Hannah Greenwood is the big game of the week this week.
All right, so what else are we looking at?
Other big games this week. Easley travels to Greenville. Easley's 3-2, played a pretty good schedule. Greenville is one of the undefeateds left at 4-0, and they are looking to try to snap a 3-game losing streak against Easley. Wow. They went to Easley last year, lost on a last-second field goal. So this is kind of a big. Greenville is undefeated, is really dominated, but this is definitely a step up in competition this week. So Greenville likes playing Easley at this specific time of the season to get ready for the region play. Obviously, Easley is a 5A school, Greenville's 4A, so a little bit step up in competition is more of what David Crane told me, that's more of the athletic type of people they'll see in the region because they play in the region over with BHP and all those kind of
and that was a shootout last year against BHP, like 45-42, I believe.
Sure, I'm looking.
Heck of a ball game.
That's who they end up with, and that will probably be for that region title if I'm making predictions right now.
Those are the fun games as a broadcaster.
Oh yeah, I was covering that game actually, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire game. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a suggestion maybe for some music for you too.
Phenomena.
There you go. I'll take it.
You like that?
Yeah.
Can you know the reference there?
I know it, but I can't think of it.
It's the Muppets.
Yes.
Sesame Street.
There you go.
Anyway.
And then lastly, Palmetto at Wren's, always a pretty good rivalry game, and they're both 3-1 this year. And be some points scored and some outstanding quarterback play, and they'll probably play all night.
Yeah, well, that's the hope at least.
Hannah, I think I would agree with you just based on reputation. Again, I haven't covered high school football in a while, but based on reputation and knowing how the Hannah program has been, they would have to be the surprise of this season right now.
I think given the schedule. I mean, they've beaten Spartanburg like a drum. They've beaten Boiling Springs, the reigning upper state champion from 5A. I don't have all their schedule in front of me right now, but they've played a loaded schedule. Actually, one of their best games, most competitive games, was last week against Malden, who on paper doesn't look as strong as the other four they beat, but they beat Malden 21-10 last week. So thank you, Forrest. Yeah, open up the season beating Gaffney, then shut out Spartanburg, go to Bowling Springs and win. Go to BHP and win easily.
Yeah, that was a real surprise in my opinion.
Right, in week 4, and then they knock off Malden last week. So yeah, it's going to be quite a showdown at Greenwood tonight.
They score a lot of points too, so their offense must be pretty prolific.
Yep, they do.
So if they're the surprise team in the region, in the upstate right now, dare we go in the other direction and say who's the disappointment?
Nah, it's high school kids. Rudy Jones is watching, and he taught me about that when he hired me 25 years ago.
Good job, Rudy.
Well, you heard Forrest 3 things, right? And talking about Cleveland's win the first time.
There you go.
27 out of 28
right.
Since the Providence Grays in the 1880s.
Believe it or not, I'm aware of that. I was already aware of that.
But when Rudy was a cub reporter
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Greenville Piedmont. So
yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's good.
But I don't mean to duck your question. And there's really not. I mean, there's really no. Like obviously Burns going 3-7 last year was shocking, but there's really nobody really like that this year. I would say at this point anyway.
Rudy says the check's in the mail, by the way. For you, not for me. You're probably sending me a subpoena, but you get a check. Anything else high school-wise?
That's about it. Burns is 5-0. They're off this week. Eastside's 4-0. I think they have Carolina this week. Chapman and Newberry are both 5-0. Abbeville, Southside Christian are both 5-0. The thing about Southside Christian, they were 5-0 at this point last year. Lost to Blacksburg, and tonight they travel to Blacksburg. And Blacksburg's 0-5. Played a little bit tougher competition than Southside Christian has at this point, but that'll be kind of interesting to see if Southside Christian can get past that hump.
So 5-0 versus 0-5.
Right, but the 0-5 team won last year
Right.
at Southside Christian. Now tonight, Southside Christian goes up to Gaffney to take on Blacksburg. So
Okay. Do you have a guess at Forrest's trivia question? Remind folks what the question was.
Just don't look at the answer.
Yeah, I'm not.
The question, the topic's Furman football. What is the longest rushing play in Powd history, and who was the rusher?
I will guess, and I'm going to be wrong, but I love Carl Trimble. I'll guess Carl Trimble 90 yards.
You're close to the yardage, but not the player.
Right.
It is Russ Sutton, 93 yards in 1951 in a 39-0 rout. The PC Blue Hose.
And Gerodis Williams was second at 89, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So
I knew Gerodis had a link that went in there somewhere.
Right.
So, man, he was good.
Yes, he was.
Very good.
He was.
A lot of fun to watch.
He was outstanding. You got some on this day?
You got that right, Dan. In 1911, Cy Young earns his 511th and final win at the age of 44. Eddie Collins steals 6 bags for the second time in 11 days in 1912. 1966, the Orioles clinch their first pennant. 1969, Willie Mays hits home run number 600, second to accomplish that feat. In 1990, Andre Dawson steals his 300th bag and becomes the second player to have 300 home runs, 300 steals, and 2,000 hits. And who was the first? Any guesses?
Mickey Mantle.
Willie Mays. Willie Mays. In 93, Nolan Ryan appears in his last game. Elbow problems are cited for the reason for his retirement.
He was 67 years old.
That's right.
And in 2015, Yogi Berra dies at the age of 90. It's been 2 years since the great Yogi has passed. My mom got one of his last signatures because she was a big fan growing up, and she always says that she didn't have posters of Elvis or any other The Rock kings of that age. She always had pictures of Yogi Berra up on her wall. So another reason for my great love of the New York Yankees, Dan.
I had something, and
I'm glad you lost it.
Forrest just made me lose it by talking about the Yankees, huh?
Can I throw it in?
Sure.
Bobby the Brain Heenan died this week.
Yes, I saw that.
Rest in peace, Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I just want to leave everyone with one of my favorite Bobby the Brain Heenan quotes. A friend in need is a pest.
Is a pest. Oh, man. All right. That's going to do it for us. We've got a bus to catch that is going to take us to a plane we have to catch. I'll talk to you, good Lord willing, tomorrow at 11:45 on the Furman IMG Sports Network, which will include Fox Sports 1440 and our Campus FM and about 72 places you can find it online. For Furman and Colgate, the Southern Fried Cotton Tailgate Show at 11:45, kickoff shortly after 1 p.m. Paladin's looking for their first win of 2017, and let's hope they can get it tomorrow. And then after that, it's conference play for the final 7 weeks of the season. Until then, for Forrest and for Scott, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody.